Hey guys, if you're like me and only have internet access points in your living room or your bedroom and you're wanting to set up your examiner and then find that the fan makes way too much noise for you, then I've put together this guide to show you how to adjust the fan settings so that it gets a little quieter. And I also show how to change the fan out with the fan recommended by the ScPrime guys, the Noctua NF-A8 fan. And then I give some measurements to show what kind of difference that makes. And I think if you watch the end, you'll find there's some interesting conclusions as to what the best way to go is. So here we go. So to give you an idea of how much noise the examiner is generating, I did some different measurements using just a cheap app showing the amount of decibels being generated by the different situations and different machines. I started just with an ambient noise measurement, kind of a baseline, and you see that that's around 40 decibels. Here I've turned on my DIY storage provider, and that's producing about 47 decibels. And then you see the my son's gaming computer, that's making about 51 decibels, just an idle right there. And if we turn on the examiner just out of the box with the stock fan and the factory settings, then it's making about 55 decibels of noise, which is quite a bit louder. So in order to change the fan settings, the first thing you need to do is find out the part number of the fan that's installed in your examiner. So turn the examiner off, and then turn it around, and you see the back plate and the 4 corner screws holding the back plate to the unit itself. Unscrew those 4 screws to remove the back plate, and that's it, pretty much it. And so with the 4 screws removed, carefully remove the back plate, and you can expose the fan just on the inside of the back plate. And then if you check out the fan, there's a sticker on the front, and there you should find the part number. As you see here on my fan, it's a part number ending with M. So that's important to note. You could also have a fan that's ending with U. That's also good to know. So put it back together, boot it back up, and when you turn it back on, hit the delete key of your keyboard repeatedly, and that'll get you into the BIOS system. And once you're there, you'll see this, and you can use the arrow keys to move over to the monitor section, and then go down to the CPU fan, because that's what you want to adjust. Make sure it's in automatic mode, leave the temperature setting, but then go to the level and change the level. If you've got a part number of the fan ending in M, you can change it to level 5. But if you've got the U, level 2 or level 3 are recommended. Be sure to monitor your hard drive temps and make sure they stay in the 30s to lower 40s. Press F10 to save and exit, and the unit will start up again. Now we see it running at a noticeably quieter 51 decibels. Here's a sequential comparison of the fan noise before and after changing the settings. Turn up the volume and perhaps you can hear it. Now the quality of the audio recording doesn't really do it justice, but take it from me, it really does make a difference. And so now here we're going to look into installing the new fan that was recommended by the ScPrime guys, the Noctua NF-A8 80mm fan. So to remove it from the packaging, you see it comes with a number of different cables. You don't really need those, just the fan. And then I decided to use the rubber grommets. So I remove those here and I get everything ready. And then you're going to want to open up the examiner unit again. So remove the 4 corner screws, and then you can already move the 4 screws that are attaching the fan to the back plate. So I'll do that here. And once those are removed, you can carefully put the fan aside. And then it's just a matter of removing the 4-pin plug from the motherboard. So just grab the pin carefully and gently pull it straight up, and that should come loose pretty easy. There we go. And there's another close-up of that pin right there. So that's where you're going to be putting the new plug from the Noctua fan. So I placed the rubber grommets in the screw holes. You got to really kind of press those through and also pull them through to the other side to make sure they're fit well. And once those are in place, then you can place the fan on top of those with the sticker facing the inside of the unit. At least on Discord, I was led to believe that that was the proper way of installing it. So I hope that's right. If not, someone let me know in the comments. And you really got to pull those rubber grommets through the holes to make sure it's fit snug. So give them all a good tug so it's really fitted properly. And once you've done that, it should really fit snugly to that back plate with no movement at all. So now we can install the plug and just put it on the 4-pin on the motherboard where the original plug was for the other fan. And that's it. And just put the back plate back in, put the 4 corner screws in, and you're done. When you turn the Examiner back on, make sure you go into the BIOS mode to turn this fan to full on mode. That way you get the 2000 RPM that Ken recommends for adequate cooling of the hard disks. As you see here, surprisingly enough, it isn't any quieter than the stock model fan at the reduced level. So I think all in all, I would have to just recommend reducing the level of the fan that you have. If it's the model part ending in M, then just reduce it down to level 5. If you got the Model U fan, then try 2 or 3, and that really seems to be adequate. Buying the other fan that's recommended from Noctua doesn't really seem to have any added benefit. Of course, it is also possible to play with the fan setting some more. Maybe with a Noctua fan, you could knock it down to level 9. I got some RPMs that are slightly above 1900. Perhaps that's enough, but again, it's under the 2000 RPM that Ken was recommending, so, you know, be careful with that. One thing that can be handy is that the Grafana interface, you can also see your hard disk temperatures. So if you start playing around with the fan RPMs, probably a good idea to keep an eye on those hard disk temperatures to make sure they don't really get above 50. Ideally, you want your hard drive temperatures to be somewhere in the 30s, and preferably not any higher than the lower 40s. Keep in mind that we're in the test phase right now, so there's not a whole lot of data coming in, really pushing the hard drives. So they won't be getting too warm at this moment. But as more data starts streaming in once the net goes live, you know, the hard drive temperatures could go up. So keep a close eye on that and make sure they're not getting too hot if you do start playing around with the fan levels. Okay guys, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was informative. If you learned something from it, if it helped you out, give it a like, and that can make it easier for other people to find it. That would be great. Take care.